Hi 2DV, welcome to week 2 of remote learning where we are still thinking about personal writing. I've loved the work that people have sent in this week. I've not heard from as many of you as I have before the Easter holidays. I hope that everybody is okay. Please feel very free to get in touch with me, even if it's not to send in work, if you want to chat about something. And if you're sitting watching this thinking, oh God, I've not done that week, don't worry about it. We can catch up. Just get in touch with me. Please don't sit at home worrying that you've not done the work. This week we are continuing to think about personal writing and we are focusing on using sensory description in reflective writing. As you can see, or maybe as you can guess from the background of this slide, we are going to be thinking about food and food experiences as our sort of topic as we develop these skills this week. So learning to use sensory description, and then if you pause this slide now to have a quick read of the success criteria that we are working with. Quick reminder of what sensory description is. It is including the details of what something looks like, sounds like, feels like, tastes like, and smells like. The first thing that we're going to do this week is to read some sensory description. So what I would like you to do just now is to pause this slide and to have a read of the description I've written of something I have eaten too many of in the last 2 weeks. These are definitely my downfall just now. They are absolutely fantastic. And what I'd like you to do now that you've read it is to go back in and see if you can identify examples of sensory description. So when is it that I am talking about what I can see, feel, touch, hear, or taste? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and show you where I think I've included sensory description. You'll notice that I've not included all 5. It's very rare that we would include all 5 senses within one description because it might sound a little bit forced, but including the descriptions, the sensory descriptions that make sense at the time you are writing. So I'm just going to go in here and have a little look. The smooth, hard exterior cracks with a satisfying snap. So smooth is where I'm describing what it feels like, as is hard actually. And then I've also got cracks with a satisfying snap. So that tells you what it sounds like when you bite into a double raspberry magnum. Delicious. Beneath a dark chocolate, that's what I can see. Pale pink clouds fill the interior. Now that's not strictly sensory description, but I am using an example of a metaphor. I am describing the ice cream inside as a pale pink cloud. The raspberry ice cream is sweet. That tells me something about what it tastes like, reminding me of the berries, but also of the pots of dessert my mum bought when I was a child. When my mum used to go to the supermarket on a Friday, she would come back with those little pots of ready-made dessert that were really sweet and tasty. There's a perfect contrast of textures. That is what it feels like when I am eating it. The jammy sauce is sandwiched between the silky chocolate. Silky chocolate might be taste and it might be touch. It could be either. And creamy ice cream. So I've not included all of the senses, I don't think. I don't think I have what it smells like there, but I have managed to include most of them. Now that you've read my example and heard me talk about it, I want you to have a go yourself. You can choose one of the following images or you can pick something completely different if you want. Trying to make it food though, given that that's our focus this week. And what you are trying to do is to include examples of sensory description in your own writing. Once you have written your description, I would like you to go back in and underline or highlight where you feel you have met that criteria. What I have on this side is a sensory description of an item of food that I've actually kept secret from you. So what I would like you to do is pause the slide, have a read through and see if you can guess the item that I am describing. Did you guess it? It was a lemon. Where did I use examples of sensory description? Pause the slide again and see if you can see where I'm describing what I can touch, feel, hear, see, or taste. When I've described the lemon as the colour of sunshine, I'm explaining what it looks like, as well as the shape by saying it resembles an elongated tennis ball. Its skin is smooth and bumpy at the same time, what it feels like. It's not a fruit you'd want to bite into. It tastes tart and tangy, what it tastes like. I've also managed to use some alliteration in there, making your mouth screw up at its sourness. So we're still a bit more developing the taste. The inside is divided up into self-contained segments, each made up of little beads of zingy juice. So more about what it looks like there. Zingy, I suppose, is kind of taste. Again, I have not included all of the senses because it wouldn't make sense in this description to include what it sounds like. So use your common sense when you're doing that. I'd like you to have a bash yourself now. You can choose whatever food you want. If you're really struggling for inspiration, it might be worth thinking about choosing one of these berries because there are some characteristics that they share and then there'll be some that are different. So thinking about what they are, in what ways they are different and in what ways they are the same, will help you think about the details that you want to include in your writing. Remember that what you're trying to do, if you look at the box with the success criteria, is in this exercise, you are including examples of sensory description in your own writing. I would love it if you could send in these sensory descriptions so that I can share them with you guys and over Twitter, and we can have some guessing about what it is you're describing. If you go back to the very first slide of this video, you will see that there were 4 success criteria that we were working with. And what you've been doing so far is thinking about the first 2, identifying examples of sensory description and then using them in your own writing. We're moving on to the last 2 success criteria of the learning this week, which is about identifying narration and reflection in writing and then including them in your own writing. So on this slide, I've got a quick definition of what narration and reflection means. Narration is when you tell the story, when you include details that are going to help your reader understand what it is, what experience that you are describing. Whereas reflection is where you include your thoughts and feelings about that event or experience. When we're doing personal writing, we need to include both of these elements. If we only include narration, then we're not giving over the thoughts and feelings that are going to make it personal. And if you only include your thoughts and feelings, but without any context of what it is that you're talking about, the reader won't understand why you're feeling that way. So it's really important that when we're doing personal writing, you're thinking, am I telling enough of the story that this is going to make sense for my reader? But am I including my thoughts and feelings so that it is a personal piece of writing and not creative or discursive or persuasive? We're going to begin with an example of both narration and reflection being included in a paragraph. Pause the slide now and have a read of the paragraph that I've written. What we're going to do is we're going to work our way through that paragraph sentence by sentence and try to decide, am I telling a story or am I including my thoughts and feelings? Is this sentence narration or is it reflection? So if we look at that first one, when we were in Spain last year, we visited Portaventura, a theme park. That's me telling the story of where I went and what I did when I was there. So I'm going to use yellow for story. One of my lasting memories is my kids discovering a wall-to-wall pick and mix shop displaying every kind of Haribo sweet known to man. I'm still telling a story there. I'm describing details of what that shop looked like. The image of my children staring in wonder as they were allowed to pick their favourites makes me feel nostalgic every time I think about it. Now the word feel is in there, makes me feel, and then we have nostalgic, which was one of the words on our feelings wheel this week. So I'm going to go in and highlight in a different colour because I'm starting to include thoughts and feelings. I love that we all share this happy memory. That's still me talking about how I feel. When we buy Haribo now, we recall that day and discuss the sweets that we wish were available to us in the UK. That's me back to I meant to use yellow, guys, sorry. This was such a small part of our holiday but has stayed with us in a big way afterwards. So I'm talking about It was a small part of our holiday, but it has stayed, oh, that was meant to be blue, that's annoying, but it has stayed with us in a big way afterwards. And if we look at how that colour is separated out, you'll see that I've told a little bit of story, and then I've also reflected on what it meant to me at the time. I've got one more example to work through just so you've had lots of practice before you go off and do this yourself. Can you pause this slide now? And as you're reading, at the end of each sentence, ask yourself, was she telling a story there, or was she including her thoughts and feelings? I've gone in and I have used the blue highlighter where I feel I am sharing a thought or a feeling, and then I've gone in with the yellow to point out where I am telling story. I've been describing that experience. If we just think about what it is that I have been describing there, if I had included if I had been writing about how much Christmas dinner meant to me, but without explaining that I was talking about Christmas dinner, my paragraph wouldn't make sense. So I hope you can see that it's really important that we tell enough of the story so that the reader knows what it is that you're talking about, and then that gives us the opportunity to share what it is that we feel and think about that experience. This is our last exercise for personal writing this week. I would like you to choose a food memory. It could be a positive food memory or something that you have not enjoyed. I've got 4 examples at the bottom of the slide, but you don't have to choose them. I thought you might think about a barbecue that you've been to. I've included a picture of hospital foods because that might be a less positive memory, a birthday party or a birthday meal, or even your favourite takeaway. You could choose one of those examples, or you can pick something else of your own. But what I would like you to do is to write about that food memory. And I've included the success criteria that I shared at the beginning because this is what I want you to work with. Can you include sensory description in your own writing? And are you blending narration and reflection in that writing? So are you telling enough of the story that it's going to make sense, but then including your thoughts and feelings and including that sensory description to make it real and vivid for your reader? I would like you to share this work with me once you have written it. Choice tasks again. Pause the slides, have a read of the choices, see which one speaks to you this week, and have fun completing it. And we're finally at the very familiar end of the video. So reading homework, you should have your reading at home, whether that's from the library, you're reading from the library app, or you have books at home already. Set yourself a target and see how much you're able to read this week. Non-fiction article homework. The downloadable file is underneath your video this week. It looks like it's quite long, but that's because I've included the images from the newspaper article, so it isn't actually that much text, it's just that there's quite a lot of big pictures. However, if it does feel a bit long, it's been divided up into 5 sections, so just pick 1 or 2 to read. As ever, the questions are on the next slide. Literacy homework. Could you please complete tasks 15 and 16? We are still working with punctuation. They're quite short tasks for you to do. Remember that the file is downloadable from the WordPress site. Very much the last time that you're going to hear my voice this week. I just wanted to remind you that even though we are setting you this work, what is most important to us as staff at Liberton is that you are keeping yourself healthy and happy. So try to take a minute to tune in to what it is that is keeping you well, keeping you happy, keeping you going, and make sure that you're including lots of that into your week this week. If you want to get in touch just to chat, please do that. I love seeing you guys chatting on Teams. It makes me smile every day when you do it. So keep in touch with each other, keep in touch with us, and make sure that you're connecting with things that are going to keep you well at home. Have a really good week.